Everyone talks about summer like it's supposed to be carefree. But if this season brings up money stress, body stress, family stress, or social stress, that's real too. Growth therapy can help with that. Whether it's your first time in therapy or your 50th, Grow makes it easier to find a therapist who fits you, not the other way around. They connect you with thousands of independent licensed therapists across the U.S., offering both virtual and in-person visits, nights and weekends. You can search by what matters, like insurance, specialty, identity, or availability, and get started in as little as 2 days. And if something comes up, you can cancel up to 24 hours in advance at no cost. There are no subscriptions, no long-term commitments. You just pay per session. Grow helps you find therapy on your time. Whatever challenges you're facing, Grow Therapy is here to help. Grow accepts over 100 insurance plans, including Medicaid in some states. Sessions average about $21 with insurance, and some pay as little as $0 depending on their plan. Visit growtherapy.com/booknow to get started. That's growtherapy.com/booknow. growtherapy.com/booknow. Availability and coverage by state and insurance plan.
Welcome back to the Ballet Help Desk podcast. My name's Jenny, and I'm joined by my co-founder, Brett. We are thrilled today to welcome Kenta Kura. He was born in Japan. In 1995, he won the scholarship prize at the Prix de Lausanne and entered the Royal Ballet School in the UK. In 1997, he joined the Royal Ballet and was promoted to soloist in 2006. While with the Royal Ballet, he danced many principal and soloist roles. In 2013, he received his teaching license, his PDT, Professional Dancer Training Diploma from the Royal Ballet School, and became a guest teacher there. In 2014, he left the Royal Ballet and became the first Japanese permanent teacher of the Royal Ballet School. During his tenure at the Royal Ballet School, he taught students in all grades in the upper school and the White Lodge, while experience made him well-versed in all aspects of professional dance education. In 2023, he was appointed the director of K-Ballet Academy, K-Ballet School by Tetsura Kumakawa. Kura was also the first Japanese to serve on the jury of YGP Philippines, YGP Japan, and YGP Finals. So without further ado, the help desk is now open. Summer intensives are coming fast, and we just published our Summer Intensive Essentials Guide over on our website. We focused on products dancers really rely on, the things that set them up for an incredible summer. Everything in it has been used by real dancers at real programs, and wherever we could, we made a point to include products from dance-run businesses because we love supporting people who are building something in this industry. And don't forget to pick up our very own corrections journal to help you have an amazing summer. Some of these links are affiliate links, so shopping through our guide is a great way to support the show at no extra cost to you. You'll find the links in our show notes or head over to our website, ballethelpdesk.com.
Kenta, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you so much.
So you are back in Tokyo now, but you spent your career on both sides of the Royal Ballet world. So first you were a performer and then you were a teacher. So what brought you into the role you're in now?
Right. First of the foremost, it was my empathy for Tetsuya Kumakawa as an artist, my deep resonance with the vision he has built for the K-Ballet. I first met Mr. Kumakawa when I was 10 years old, and we have shared a long, meaningful history, including the immense support he gave me during my years in the UK. I have always watched the greatest respect as he strove to establish a truly professional ballet culture in Japan. When I received his passionate offer to utilize that, let's say, world-class methodology I cultivated as a teacher at the Royal Ballet School for the next generation in Japan, instinctively I knew that this was my next mission. And I also have this second reason, profound sense of the responsibility towards the future of the ballet education in Japan. I moved to UK when I was 16 years old and spent approximately about 30 years within the British educational system. First as a student of the Royal Ballet School, then I became a dancer of the Royal Ballet, then a faculty, the teacher, the member of the Royal Ballet School. What I learned there was the importance of holistic education. The idea that we are not transferring the technique, but nurturing a full human being. Japan is a home to a vast number of the talented young dancers. Yet for a long time, the reality has been that they must go abroad to seek professional level training. By returning to Japan and taking on the directorship of the K-Ballet Academy, that I realized I could build an environment where students can receive the great class training right here at home. And now my goal is to translate the insight I gained in Royal Ballet into Japanese context, further evolving the standard of education in this country. It is that the passion that has led me to this role today.
So it sounds like your goal is to create a school in Japan so fewer Japanese students are having to leave the country to get top level training. Is that correct?
Yes, yes,
Okay, so before you went to the Royal Ballet as a student, you were
yes.
training in Japan. What
That's
was
right.
that
That's right.
like? And then you went to the Prix de Lausanne.
Yes,
Tell us about
yes.
your training and how you ended up at Prix.
Yeah, well, my roots lie in it's very difficult local ballet studio in Japan, Hokkaido, the small village. At the time, the perception that the ballet is for girls was much more stronger than it is today. And especially in Japan, I was only the male student in the school. We had about 80 students in my village, but I was only the male student. Rather than having a peers to compete and grow, with my days consisted of facing the mirror, like alone and silently repeating the basics over again and again. And I think the being alone made me want to the world even more. That my teacher saw me drive and they gave me the strict but loving, I think, the foundation. They pushed me hard on the basics, and that is exactly what prepared for me everything that came next. I think the big turning point was a Prix de Lausanne when I was 16. At that time, that it was hard to see I think the clear future for the professional dancer in my where I live. I think they've got a great company in Tokyo, but where I live is quite far away from Tokyo, so that was very difficult to see the clear vision. So I went to the competition in Tokyo, of course. Then also the Prix de Lausanne was happening in Russia at that time. So I asked my teachers that I really want to challenge myself to really desperately hoping to see my skills actually mattered on a global stage. Well, on the stage, I was so shocked by the incredible bodies and the technique of the dancers of my age. And it was a huge, I think it was a huge wake up call for me. But at the same time, it was the first time I truly felt I belonged in the world. And thank you so much to that. I got the scholarship to get to the Royal Ballet School. And I am sure that my gift and a focus on the basics from Japan. Thank you to my teacher. I think that was helped me squeeze through that narrow gate to London.
You said something interesting. You said it was the first time you felt like you belonged. Can
Yes.
you talk about that a little bit about what it was like being and I have a son who is a ballet dancer and was the only
Oh,
boy in his school.
oh
So
yes.
can you talk a little bit about
Oh,
what that
right.
was
Yes.
like?
My God, that was in a Bolshoi theater. I was performed. I was only performing in a local theater in Hokkaido, which is about 1,000 people in front of the audience. But that Bolshoi theater, that's not a new theater. It was old. That video is still in the Prix de Lausanne that I watched it. Oh my God, I cannot explain. It was extraordinary. Audience was screaming after the solo, for the each people and just people standing up, great lighting and the music is there. And I didn't understand what the people talking about surrounding me. But I just really appreciated with everyone in front of me, behind me, surrounded me. And that was actually my feeling, and it was a very special. And I really decided this is how really I want to do this.
So, can I ask you a little bit about being the
Mm.
only? Because you were the only boy. And so, if you're the only boy in
Yes,
your ballet
yes,
school for that
yes,
many, like, did you inspire other boys to like want to join, or did you just stay the only boy all the way up until you went to pre?
yes,
You were the
yes.
only boy.
I was only the boy, but they were performers. They have got a school performance. We had a school performance like 2 years, every 2 years, not every year, every 2 years. And then every time that when we have good school performance, we invite the guest dancers from Tokyo, professional dancer from Tokyo. I think that's really inspired me. And then when I was aged 10 years old, I met Mr. Kumakawa. That was a big shock. We were in the same ballet workshop in Sapporo. I mean, I've never seen a male dancers count like this. I mean, he was on fire. You know Mr. Kumakawa how he dances, but I think that's also shock to me. Get into the really, I really want to become a dancer.
So, when you were
Mm.
younger, if ballet was considered something more that girls did, how did you first start?
Oh, that's a great question. My family knew that my ballet teachers for a long time, which is true. But the first time that it's the reason I started the ballet is my father's company and my ballet school is next to each other. And they've got like a cafes yes, downstairs. That's my teacher and my father met and they got on it well. And that's how I started.
So it was just by happen chance, by location, and you were just a bored kid and who walked into a
I
ballet
know.
school and
Yeah, yeah. My father asked my older brother first, but then my brother said that no, he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to wear the white tights. My father, I think he already promised our teachers that he is bringing his son. So I mean, I had to go to the studio, and I didn't have to wear the white tights straight away. But I went to the studio, and it was just so different to where I live. I used to play kendo, which is like sword fighting and a baseball and then like a soccer, football. And it was a very different approach that my teacher was how they are teaching and building up their talent. And it was also about the music. I mean, I was 80 years old and I only have got the memory of this like a flashing photos, but I don't remember exact day how it go through. But I think I really enjoyed it. I only started the ballet for like once a week. Then I met Mr. Kumakawa 10 years old. Then I become, I had like a more stronger feeling that I want to become a dancer. And I put in like a twice a week or three times a week. I didn't do the full-time training until probably about 14 years old. I was quite late developer, I must say.
so we'd like to pivot a little bit and start talking about overall training in Japan because you are our first guest from Japan and our first guest from Asia. So I think you'll be introducing a lot of our audience to your training system. So could you describe how ballet training tends to be structured in Japan from the earliest years through pre-professional?
Right. Well, I think that Japan has got a massive base of the ballet lovers that I need to start from the kids professional level, the thousands of the private studio from a passionate foundation. For many families, it's a classic after the school choice, a way to teach children discipline and beauty outside the regular school. So the early childhood to junior years, I think the base of the pyramid in Japan is massive here. So many children learn ballet to build their character from a very young age. They are trained to be a disciplined and precise, resulting in a level of technique that shocks of the rest of the world, as you probably know that you've always seen in the competition. And it goes to the junior stage. At the junior level, that the competition-driven culture becomes very influential. Unique things about Japan is how incredibly hardworking the students are. They go to their studio 5 or 6 days a week after the school. I think that's going to be the very different to the Europe system. Training intensely until late at night. I mean, my academy finishes like about 10:30, but a student doesn't want to go home. Yes,
Wait,
my
10:30
academy
at night?
yeah, yes. I mean, yeah, but we start about 6 o'clock because of the regular school finishes about 4:30, and then they travel to my academy, and then they start a ballet class from 6 o'clock. Some of them, I think, that from the under 15 years old, they tend to finish before 9 o'clock and the senior level finishes at like a 10:30. So that's the like a junior stage of a level, and a professional stage. This is when I see the greatest challenge. Doing a part of the demands of the compulsory education system, as I said, that Japan has not established a full-time national vocational schools dedicated to professional training as seen in Europe. Consequently, that it has become a common for talented young dancers to move abroad around the time of the high school graduation just to finally access comprehensive professional curriculum. Things are, I think, they're improving, but we are still rely too much on individual passion and also the devotion of the parents. While our technique is world class, I want to say that our kids has got a great technique, but we haven't still built a system for complete dancers. A professional needs more than just the steps. I think they need holistic expertise, such as in anatomy, like a music theory and a contemporary styles. Does it make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Talking a little bit more about K-Ballet, since you opened your doors in 2023, you mentioned
Mm,
earlier in the interview that you wanted to bring the standard of the Royal Ballet School
mm.
to Japan. So, can you speak a little bit about what you're doing to bring that standard to Japan and all that incredible knowledge that you have from your 30 plus years at the Royal Ballet?
Yes. I mean, K-Ballet, the K-Ballet has got also the school. We operate the K-Ballet School, which has a history of the over 20 years. And currently we have about 650 students in around the Tokyo. Yes, it's a lot of students.
it's in multiple locations, correct?
We got 7 schools in Tokyo.
Right. Part of the school that has been around for over 20 years, that is
Mm.
not the vocational training, correct? Like what you're
No,
doing, what
no. I think they're very different. I think you're so correct that the K Ballet School has got meaning to adjust. No, they do ballet class, they do solos if they want to go competition, but they didn't really establish to a ballet school for become a professional dancers.
right.
So the Mr. Kumakawa wanted to bring meat and made all the great system. And I think he actually really wanted to make, like I said, while the methodology, the ballet class, the ballet schools in Tokyo. And then I think admission to the academy is strictly, what the difference between a school and academy is that admission to the academy is strictly by the auditions. Because the K-Ballet School, if they want to come to our school, they can just come and join. But academies are different. I think we evaluate the candidates based on the age and the physical potential and the future promise, limiting each class to be a very small group it's about a 5 to 8 dancers in each class. And we have got the 3 class, girls basic class, they learn a foundation and the basics, and we've got the advanced class, which is about 16 years old. Girls basic class starts from a 10 to 14 years old. Then we've got the men's class and a different. Yes, I think usually we bring the male dancers from 15 years old, but they're dancers of the 11 years old. The male dancers, even because we do the pad do and a different male technique, so I think some of the boys still go to the girls' basic class. We combine with the male and a female technique together. I think that's how we go through each day. And then while students continue their regular junior or the high school study, they attend academy from evening to night. Like I said, the curriculum is systematically structured, including not only the classical ballet, they got a point to walk, a male technique, character dance, and the contemporary dance. We also incorporate like a lecture of the Pilates, gyrokinesis, yoga, and lots of things, anatomy, nutrition to ensure the complete education. And we also have got after we've got school, and we've got the academy, and we've got this professional course. Now, this course is for the dancers aged 18 to 23 years old, directly connected our professional company, K-Ballet Tokyo. So we do more than just refine their technique. We provide a ultimate gateway to a professional world by teaching them the company's repertoire and giving them real experience on the big stage.
Are the dancers who are 18 to 23, do they perform with the main company?
Exactly.
You have this pre-professional level, and is that the
Yeah.
level for the 18 to 23-year-olds?
The most defined feature of this course is that they, in addition to regular academy lessons, students are permitted to join the K-Ballet Tokyo company class. It's like they did a morning class. Yes, their morning class taken by professional members, standing at the same bar as, of course, their stars, and they admire breathing the same air every day, forces them to shed any lingering student mentality. It is an environment that compels them to develop the self-awareness of the professional Of course, the dancers not just the students when they go to the company rehearsals because they all join. Well, they do such a sometimes they do have to do a children's role, the called ballet roles. They also learn the soloist roles, and then if yes, it's like a daily audition with in front of artist director, ballet master, ballet mistress, and if they really like them, they can offer the contract in the middle of the
Wow.
season. Oh yes, this is really great. And also, what I like is professional program is that I'm the supervisor of this. I made this course that I offer the teachers. We've got this K-Ballet School teachers course, teachers license in Japan, and we offer them this course for free. Not every dancers can be the professional dancers, but if they still want to work with us as a ballet teacher, they want to pass the knowledge with a younger age group. That so many people wants to do it. Yes, so I offer this teacher's course.
And now a brief pause to hear a word from our sponsors. Brett and I created Ballet Help Desk as the resource we wish we had when our kids were going through ballet training. Now we've got some exciting news. For a while, many of you have asked for an ad free option, and we've been listening. We are thrilled to introduce the Ballet Help Desk Backstage Pass on Patreon. With your subscription, you'll get every episode ad free. The full back catalog, remastered with higher quality audio, and early access to the episodes before they are released publicly. As our Patreon community grows, we'll be adding new ways for you to connect more deeply with the podcast and the Ballet Help Desk community. Subscribe today. See you backstage. And back to the episode.
So, the teachers in Japan, in
Mm,
America, you don't
yes.
have to have any qualifications to be a ballet teacher. Anybody can teach ballet. There's no teacher training programs. I mean,
No, no.
most. What about Japan? Are there training like what are the requirements to be a ballet teacher in Japan?
No, no, it's like you're so correct. In the nationally, in the legally, and I don't think they need to have the teacher's license. But I don't want it. I think Mr. Kumakawa established the ballet school, and he didn't want all the teachers just go to the student to teach how to speak to teachers, how to touch the students, and there's so many regulation how to become a ballet teacher. So he established this course, and then I came back to Tokyo in 2023 and I looked at it. And because I also did a teacher's course in London, of course. So I just finalized, I really edited all this course and we're running through now.
So, because you've spent so much time in London and now you're establishing something in
Mm.
Japan, can you talk through a little bit about what you've noticed the differences between the way things are structured in Japan versus how things are structured in the UK for ballet training?
Oh, yes. I think the difference is first is the system of the selection. At state like the Royal Ballet School, students face a strict annual assessment to see if they truly have a future as a professional. In Japan, I think many private studios are more inclusive, focusing on the student passion. There's a huge structure difference when it comes to a regular screening needed for professional growth. And I think the Royal Ballet School had on-site team doctors, like a physiotherapist, a nutritionist, counselors who can immediately address issues like growth, pains, or mental health. But in Japan, I think many studios, not the K-Ballet, but I think that many in Japan, usually I think that many studios rely solely on a single teacher who has to
Mm,
handle everything. Yes. So
Wow,
this
that's a
of
lot.
well, yes. So yes. So like a ballet teachers like become of course a sister, mother, bit of a doctor, counselor, and yes, because it's all private. And I don't think it's really difficult. Of course, they are connected with the counselors externally, but I don't think they have got internally.
Can you talk a little bit about
Mm.
the Kumakawa method? I'm curious
Oh, yes.
what that is.
Of course, of course. This the essence that Kumakawa method is systematic. It's a Kumakawa method is like a physical language designed for the professional stage. I think it is a unique methodology that condenses the technique of the Tetsuya Kumakawa mastered while reaching the pinnacle of the global ballet scene at the Royal Ballet, and combined with the essential elements Japanese dancers need to compete internationally. So I talk through a little bit more of that. I think most striking feature of the Kumakawa method is that you don't just dance to the music, you become a part of the music. The way you use the accent with the musical phrasing is both delicate, incredibly dynamic, and from the very beginning, we train our students to embody every nuance of the score through the movement. And also that it is not enough for position to be beautiful, that the method focuses on how project energy to the very back of the theater. Every class is structured by working backwards from the professional stage, focusing on the elevation and hang time of the jumps, the precision of the landings, and the projection of the gaze. It is about how one appears to the audience as a professional artist. And thirdly, having fought at the highest level as a Japanese dancer, Mr. Kumakawa developed his method to build fluid lines and also the powerful core. It moves beyond a simple imitation. Instead, it provides a tailor-made approach that understands the Japanese physique and helping our students to reach their highest level of the performance.
So, part of what you were talking about earlier
Mm,
was some of the, mental health stuff and physical well-being.
mm.
And one of the things that we saw when we were learning a little bit more about K-Ballet Academy is that the academy has a stated philosophy of student first. What does that mean in practice?
Oh, yes. Well, student first doesn't mean coddling our students. To me, it means taking the full responsibility for dancers' long-term career and their future as a person. To make this a reality, we've got the three core practices here. So the first one is prioritizing the physical and the mental safety. I think in the ballet, often glorified pushing through the pain with sheer willpower. We take a different path here in Japan, and we constantly monitor whether student body is under too much strain or if the position is anatomically unsafe. We never trade a student future health for a quick result. This is a bedrock of the philosophy. And secondly, instead of giving one-sided commands, we prioritize the process of explaining what and why and how behind every movement, encouraging the student own understanding. My goal is not to simply force knowledge upon them, but to draw out their potential, helping them engage in a dialogue with their own bodies to become independent artists. And also thirdly, that becoming a professional is incredibly hard. And the reality is that not everyone will get there. So that is why I believe is our duty to help them to build the strengths of the character, qualities like etiquette, of course, self-discipline, perseverance, and lifelong asset that will serve them well, and no matter which path they choose in their life. We also pay close attention to our students, our mental and emotional health to prevent burnout during the sensitive years of adolescence time. Our teachers stays in the constant communications, and we make sure to provide optimal support and encouragement tailored to each individual needs.
But in practice, how do you do that with 600 students? That's
Well, no, 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 no. I'm talking about K-Ballet Academy.
Oh, okay.
It's only
Okay, just
yeah,
the 6
yes,
to 8.
yes,
Just
yes. With including the professional program, we've got 25 students at this stage, so it's a possible. And
okay.
what I say, the student first is we always give the private lesson every day to every single student for 10 minutes each. So they. Yes, I think that's a very unique style that I brought it. I mean, I don't think in many schools does that, but we offer the private lessons every day. So they can either focus on their technique, such as the pirouette, somersaults, leg things, there's something they've got to find the weaknesses. Also, they can do the solos.
So you do individual coaching for 10 minutes with
Yes,
each student.
yes, yes. Minimum
Wow.
twice a week for the 80 students. If I can do, if there's enough time, of course we go through from each student because they go to the competition and they've got some solos coming ahead with the performances. So that's what I say the student first because every student is different. We always look at the student individually.
Okay, and so you've mentioned a few times that
Mm.
the reality is that not every student is going to make it. So, as a professional, so how are you speaking to your dancers about the realities of the job market?
Well, I think the answer is quite simple. That before, even when I arrived to Japan, they already knew how hard it was, how hard it is. So people desperate to get a job as a ballet dancer, but it is very difficult. We all know about it. I think that all my students know about it. I mean, no matter how hard they work, they listen to the teachers, and sometimes body doesn't fit. Clinical things, history, something, so many reasons that some people don't make it, and they already knew about it. Of course, we're challenging for that. I want to become, I want my student to become everybody to the professional dancers. I'm challenged for that.
And I think this might be too, like, cultural
Mm,
differences too, which is interesting,
right.
right? And that's something that people are really struggling with right here, where it's like because there's so many trainee programs and second companies, and there's so few job opportunities, but there's just this wealth of basically, Brett and I kind of call it like minor leagues, where they're not professionals, but they're doing, like professional level training, their core and doing understudies and things like that, but they're not quite getting jobs. So, like, are you sending your students, like, when they're leaving, like, your professional program? I understand that you've only been around for about, 2 years, but are your students, like, going to places where they're getting second company jobs, or are you only sending them out if they're going for, like, company contracts?
Well, luckily now that after the first years that professional program I made on a 2020 from the 2024 and academy established 2023. Now that so many students graduate to go to a professional company or the second company to, of course, in Japan or abroad. And I don't want, it's too early to say, even again this year. So we are doing actually quite well. Like last year, the 5 students from professional program, they all got the contract.
Oh,
So
Congratulations.
yes, yeah, thank you
that's
so much.
fantastic.
Yes, thank you so much. So I think student first, our program is working. Of course, this is not going to happen every single year. But I think, of course, even if they couldn't get a job, I think I'm going to allow them to stay another year. Going to try my hard to find a job for them. I said 18 to 23 maximum that they can stay in our professional program. But if there's a reason that I let them stay another year, if they
So,
really want to stay.
I mean, I really appreciate that because, the market is tight.
Oh, it's very
Sometimes
tight.
it's
Oh, it's
just
very tight. Yes. Yes. I take my student to, of course, the job fair, auditions, externally, of course, the internally and abroad in Japan, and it is very hard.
yeah.
But I think my student is so hungry, and it also appreciated. I think they've got a strong mindset that if they want to become the ballet dancer, I think somehow they achieved a certain level. That's what it's very fascinating that to see that a student growth. Our students, they come in the studio and they have a strong commitment every day. They absolutely love what they do. And that's what we are supporting them. I have to say, that's all I can do.
I mean,
So
that's
you
all
meant
anyone can do.
Yeah.
exactly. So you
Mm.
mentioned one thing a couple of times, and that is competitions. And
Yeah,
it feels like competitions in Japan are like everybody's doing competitions. Can you talk
Yes.
about how competitions, how
Yes.
they fit into the overall Japanese training model, both in Japan, but also we're seeing tons of kids from Japan going to competitions outside the country. So can you talk about that?
Yes, sure. I think in Japan, I believe the competition have played, I think, 2 major roles in nurturing young dancers, providing a powerful motivation and creating opportunities. However, there are also the challenge that we must address. I mean, I think what I must address. I think the positive aspect of the competition in Japan, I think since Japan has a few, national vocational schools, I said, the competitions serve as a precious venue for the student objectively assess their skills and set high goals. Furthermore, as was the case with me, international competition like Prix de Lausanne act as a gateway to the world, playing a vital role leading Japanese talent towards overseas scholarships. But I think that my concern is when too much emphasis is placed on the result, there is a risk of the falling into what I call a single variation of focus. The idea is that enough as long as one can perfectly perform a few minutes solo. However, what a professional truly needs fundamental strength to correctly exact a 90 minutes class, the stamina to perform a full-length ballet, and the flexibility to adapt diverse choreography. It is counterproductive if winning competition becomes the goal, and the most crucial element, the daily accumulation of the basic, is neglected. God, I don't think I'm answering your question. Maybe
No, you
no,
are actually. And the
I
interesting
am.
thing is
You're
coming
right.
from Royal Ballet, right? Where
Yes.
competition, obviously,
Mm,
there was always a dancer from pre that would go to
mm,
Royal every year. But
mm.
it wasn't a competition heavy philosophy at Royal. What was it
No.
like when you came back to Japan and there's competitions everywhere? Because it feels to me like a lot of the role of competitions in Japan is to give the students exposure to
Yeah.
be
Hang on.
seen by a lot of places.
Yes, yes, yes. The competition is huge in Japan. Do I think it's the same in USA also?
It's getting bigger, but I
Mm,
think there is, and Jenny, correct me if you think I'm wrong,
mm,
the majority of dancers who are dancing professionally in the United States did
mm,
not do a heavy competition circuit. A lot of them might have done
mm,
competitions when they were younger, but
hmm.
I think people believe it plays a larger role in driving your career than it actually does. But it is
Right.
it's wonderful to give
Mm,
students exposure to
mm.
potentially going to schools to train at that next level. Jenny, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would. And it's much like in a lot of places where like the big
Mm,
companies, affiliated schools, their
mm,
students don't compete. Maybe
mm,
they came through competition, came through pre, but the majority of dancers come through like summer intensive, right? And that's how they do their recruiting,
mm,
especially for their upper levels.
Right.
So there's a big delineation between like smaller hometown schools, some conservatories who also compete, but it's also to give their students stage time and things like that, as
And I would
opposed
I
to
would add that the big company affiliated schools in the United States, with a couple of exceptions, recruit heavily out of the
mm,
competitions. And so
mm,
they
mm,
all
mm,
go and they watch the
mm,
they'll go to the Prix de Lausanne, they'll go to YAGP
mm,
finals, and they will
mm,
recruit students.
mm,
But none of the big schools do any, like Jenny was saying, do any competing
mm.
themselves.
Right, right. I listen to all, and what I feel is like I always say to my students that when they go to the competition, I think that the competition serves as incredibly. I think it's a powerful passport. Like, but it's never the final destination. I believe this is important that the building professional career can be summarized through these couple of things that I wrote down a few things that now that I think that winning international competition is the shortest route to catching the eye of the artistic directors and the worldwide. I think that I can really see that whether the securing a scholarship to prestigious school or the receiving a direct offer from the company and the power to accelerate launch of the career. I think it's Emerson's. Considering the struggle to navigating the audition as unknown, that advantage is undeniable. That I can really see that what's coming, what I see from the competition. But I think the reality is once you enter the company, the color of your competition medal no longer matters. In the professional world, you're evaluated not by what the rank you achieved yesterday, but by how well you respond to a choreography in today's rehearsal and how much you can captivate the audience on a tomorrow's stage. And the dancers who fixate on a competition success and stop growing simply will not survive in this industry. And also the competition result is just not a variation of the specific few minutes variation by a limited panel of the judges. Professional stage, however, the demand of the ability of the carry full-length production, the acting skills to weave a narrative and technique to support our partner. And above all, I think one of the kind of individuality, there's actually significant gap between winning faster place in a competition and commanding the stage as a principal. I think that's what I explain to my students that competition has got a great reason. I think you can have, of course, If they're younger, they can make a great friends, they can socialize, they get to know each other, what the level you need to aim for. And also that the student always learn from the peers, not from everything from the teachers. And also they get a great experience from the stage, that of course the experience from the stage. However, I don't think when you go to the professional world, you don't just judge from the one solo. That's all I say.
No, I think you're right. And, our kids have seen this a lot where you'll
Mm,
see a dancer on stage at a competition who is fantastic in their variation. And then they get
mm,
into the studio and for
mm,
class, and they're not nearly as strong in the studio as they were performing that one variation because they've been working on that one
mm,
variation
mm, mm,
every day for a year. I think it's really important for students to understand that you need to
mm.
be just as strong in the studio as you are when you're performing.
No, I absolutely agree that because I mean, for example, you do solos for like let's say for the male principal roles solos. When do you get to do it? You actually do that when you are actual principal. But how to get there, actually the process, I think you really need to learn. I think the code ballet is like a backbone of ballet. You really need to learn the style, foundation, and the basics. And then you go through the soloist rank and go to the fast soloist, something, 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 and become a principal. What I can see from a student is just don't just look at the medals. I think you need to really enjoy the process of being on the stage.
Yeah, I mean, and there's so much that you learn in competition. I mean, I would argue that like my kids' really early competition, she did like jazz and lyrical and all the,
Right.
the
Mm,
commercial dance
mm,
competitions. She learned how to be a core member, starting when she was like 6 years old, right? Because it was so focused on group work, which
mm,
I just think is incredibly beneficial. And so there's just
mm,
so much you learn in those situations. So do you only
mm.
do solos or do you also do ensemble work with your dancers when you go to
Yes,
competitions?
yes. For the competition, we always do the solos. But however, in our school performance, we do the ensembles and the classical repertoire, of course, the contemporary dance, and we tend to teach. We do the creation dance also, the student creation. So for the competition, sorry, you saw your question. We do the classical solos and contemporary solos.
And now, time for a quick ad break. We are now welcoming reviews of year round ballet school programs on Ballet Help Desk, whether it's a full time program, after school, a conservatory, or a company affiliated school. We welcome all of them. If your dancer has been part of a program, please consider sharing your experience. Imagine there is a family out there right now trying to make an important decision, and your insight could help them feel more confident about their next step. Reviews are completely anonymous, and it takes just a few minutes to complete and let everyone learn all about the good, the bad, and everything in between. Now, back to the episode. That's great. So let's get into like
Mm,
performance and those kinds of
mm.
things that your students get to do. So year round, can you talk us through like the performing opportunities that your dancers have? And then speak a little bit more also about the creator base that you have for your dancers.
Right. So our academy season starts from September to the the August, and then the first thing that we do go through quite a lot of performance throughout the year. We do in October and in November. We call it a solos evening. They do the performance of a solo. Teachers choose the solos that is our student solos and they perform inside of our school. Then after that, we allow them to choose what they want to do. It's like a free solo. They can also choose their solo what they want to do, and they get to do it twice. Then we've got a joint performance which we did with the K-Ballet Tokyo. We have got the theater. We hire the theater and we show performance of the actual like very small kids, like 4 to 6 years old, that the people who has never seen a ballet. So we gather all the kids and adults that we show what is about the ballet, and then we've got the actual the school performance in April that we hire the theater for 2 weeks. So the K-Ballet Academy and the K-Ballet School to perform such as the classical repertoire and the solos, and like I said, ensembles. Then we did the creation program, what I led my students to create their own choreography. That I think is really important to open up their mindset. Then I also we call it expressive solos performance. There's another solos. So the ballet when you go to the competition, you always watch like a technical solos. But when you see the three-act ballet, there is a solo moment of they just to express themselves, like Giselle, Albrecht, Act Two, Dying Scene, or like such as Giselle, Romeo and Juliet. So all the kind of, it's not really the mind. I find something expressively correct. I let them to choose the solos. They can perform with that. And of course, we tell we let our students go to Hawaii GP and then international competition, of course, in the Japan competitions. So they tend to perform like almost every month, every 2 months.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, they do. They do perform a lot. And then we have got this Parents' Day in each term, and so that all the parents can watch our students.
I mean, those are always parents' favorite days, I'm sure. Those are always mine.
I mean, my students, of course, our parents always come in and watch. I think every parents come to watch our students, which is wonderful. I think it's really valuable that we have got great parents who understands us. When I came back to Japan, I did appreciate that so many parents understands and trust what we do. I don't want to say too much over the when I was in London, but I think the parents are actually had a great questions, which is great things that we've been asked. But I do feel in my school that all the parents really trust us. That's something that I really enjoy myself, that when I go through the performance day, the parents' day. I went to watch my daughter plays the violin, and when I saw her playing that, I mean, she was only playing a very simple music. Got one son and my daughter, and when I see their growth, it's just something that, I mean, I say the student first, but I think that for the family, it's like a family first, of course. And
Sure.
then yes, I do appreciate when they comes to seeing our parents to see that, they almost go to tears and always smiles. I think that's something that I can really, I don't know how to say that. They always appreciate what I do, what we do. And I'm really grateful that, I always get these comments from the parents.
Now, I have a question about vocational training. You said earlier in our conversation that there's not a lot of real
No,
vocational ballet schools
I
in Japan.
But I don't know though. I
Okay.
don't know. I have to be really careful of what I say about the Japanese schools because they've got 100, the ballet schools in Japan and the ballet studios. And I don't know if my word is everything is right. However, what I see and what I hear is, we don't get the support from the government, not like European ballet schools in Europe. I don't see many schools are founded.
So, are all
So
of the ballet schools in Japan private?
yes, I think so.
Okay. So, they're all funded from just students paying tuition?
Well, I think so. I believe so.
Okay.
But I just came back to Japan and I'm running my own businesses. And yes, because K-Ballet is attached with, of course, the K-Ballet Tokyo. We've got professional companies and work with the theaters. And we've got theater orchestra Tokyo. And we also have the K-Ballet Academy and the K-Ballet schools. So this is, how we make run our companies.
And K
But
Ballet is a
yeah.
very well established company, correct?
Yes, a very established. Yes, I believe so. Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes,
And what I mean by that is it's been around for a long time and it's doing
it
well.
has been long. Yes, it's been more than. Yes, it was a 25 years, 25th years gala last year. This is now the
Wow.
27th years. Yes.
So, one of the things that we were learning about ballet in Japan is that the working conditions can sometimes vary tremendously from
Mm,
company to
mm.
company. And I was reading an article about this that was saying that that was one of the reasons a lot of Japanese dancers would leave Japan was because they could get better working conditions in Europe, for example, or in America. What are your observations of this? And do you see it changing going forward?
Yes, I actually have things, and you've heard about it, and about. I have a very positive outlook on the Japanese ballet scene today, viewing it is as a like transitional period where ballet is evolving from a traditional extracurricular activity into a self-sufficient professional career. Today, the dancers have got the power to pick where they belong. So finding the right environment to grow their talents and help them become a smarter artist who can truly stand on their feet. That I think this is really happening in Japan because the Japan have got many companies and they can just go and they have got the right to choose what they want to do. And I think the K-Ballet, we aspire to be a pioneer in establishing an environment in Japan where dancers can pour 100% of their passion into the stage while remaining financially and mentally self-reliant. I think by continuing to show the K-Ballet Tokyo as a model of the professional pride in Japan, we hope to see a bottom-up improvement across entire Japanese landscape. I think my ultimate vision is the future of the where dancing in Japan becomes a dream of the dancers worldwide. I think this is really changing that I have to be careful what we do and what everybody's doing because I don't know very much about outside, but we are trying to make a different things here.
I think I
So
heard you say one thing about K Ballet is trying to center itself as an example
mm,
of the
yeah,
right way to run a ballet company, and that you're
mm,
hoping that
mm.
other companies will look to K Ballet as kind of being a role model for how to treat dancers and how to set up a company that is good both for the company but also for the dancers. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. I mean, I try not to compare to our company to other companies because I'm sure that they have got so many great companies in Japan. I must also study of that. However, what we believe is we are going great direction of nurturing, of course, the students and the dancers and also the audience and also for the school we are also the parents involved and we are believing that we are going to the right directions.
So, can I ask you, because you've established this pre professional level, what does the pipeline look like into K Ballet Tokyo? How many dancers have they taken from your school into the company? Like, are you creating a pipeline for dancers to then move into the professional
Yes,
world?
yes, I am trying to make a pipeline and well, as I said before that, there's a 5 student from pre-professional program had a contract to K-Ballet Tokyo. And also the 3 of them had a contract from other companies the last year. And yes, so, and we only had 8 students, so all of them got the great contract.
I
Yes, yes,
misunderstood
yeah,
you. I didn't realize that
yes.
5 of your
No,
dancers went into K-Ballet Tokyo. I
yes,
just thought you had 5
yes.
graduates who then got
No,
jobs. Oh,
no,
okay.
I'm so sorry. Yes, so yes, so we are so grateful that, but this year may be the difference. So we have to see by the end of the season, and even they don't get into the job, it's okay because they've got not many people graduating this year, so that's okay. I always talk to our artistic director, Mr. Miao, and our general director, Mr. Kumakawa, and how to establish our system, how to nurture our student, how to educate our dancers and also the students. So we are working really closely.
Thank you for clarifying because I misunderstood. What are some unique challenges that Japanese dancers face when they are trying to make a jump into the system abroad to try to get that job outside of Japan?
Well, I think that's a great question. That it's because I came from the broad, and I don't know if my answer is right, but I think what I see now because I was a ballet teacher before that, and now I am a director, and my what I see something the vision is different. But what I notice is that when they taking on a challenge of joining international company from Japan or somewhere else, that what you must prepare even more than the perfect technique is the ability to proactively present yourself as an artist. In other words, a strong sense of identity. So overseas auditions, what I've seen that so many times of the overseas audition is packed with confident dancers. To stand out, you can't just wait for instructions. You must show them exactly who you are and how you want to dance. And even with a language barrier, like Japanese people, some people don't speak English. And your energy and attitude are the keys to making a director never forget you. That I really want to tell the dancers that they don't just wait. You need to be really proactive to show your energy and the power and the projection from the eyes. And today's companies perform everything from a classical to contemporary side, not like when I started the ballet or the 90s. Instead of sticking to the what you know, I think you're judged on how fast you can adapt to new styles. So this flexibility is seen as a true mark of the professional. And also the when you go to the broad, I think you are on your own. I think you need to be disciplined to give 100% even when you're tired. Of course, you're jet lagged. Plus, you need to be handle your own businesses. I think there's now that these what I see that you need to make a great CVs and the videos. Of course, managing your emails, and that they must have a skills for the professionals. I think that when my time. When I auditioned to the companies, I didn't have to have skills like that. Making the CVs, my school helped me videos, of course, the emails. I think when you go to the broads, I think the dancers need to have this kind of tools already because because so many dancers don't just stay in the one company.
So, can I ask you a little bit too,
Mm,
when you're talking
mm.
about preparing them mentally, do you talk about preparing them mentally for the big cultural shift? Because it is really different when you are the only. And I don't have to tell you, I'm sure you were the only for a long time. And it probably took you a long time to even find things like food you like to eat, people who spoke Japanese, like all of those kinds of things. You definitely feel very, very lonely sometimes. And I think that sometimes we underestimate that for young dancers.
I always talk through about this mental health because people want to go to the broad and oh, I want to go to broad. I don't think that's a great reason. I think I always ask, why do you really want to go to broad? Why do you want to go to this school? Did you have any reason? Why do you go to this company? And if you don't have the reason, because I'm not saying that you shouldn't go or you mustn't go. I'm not saying that, but you might get this kind of a trouble when you go to abroad language barrier, of course, the food issues. May if you have got some injury history, of course, the families are far away. Do you have any friends? Where do you live? Temperature. There's so many environments, different environments. So for me, is a physical health is of course important, but I think the mental health comes first. I think this mindset really started to happen when I had a foster baby. But yes, I really think of my student. Okay, let's say if my student wants to go there. So let's say, for example, if that student is my son or my daughter, how would I treat them? How do I talk to them? Then I call their parents and I talk through. So these are things is that I really want you to go through. I am happy if they go to the competition, they got scholarship, which is great. But to get the scholarship is not the goal. That's only the passport. That's the plane ticket. It's not the final destination. Where do you end up to? Where do you want to go there from that schools? And even you get to the company, which is great, but the ballet career is very short. What do you do after that? Do you want to become a teacher? Do you want to become a physical trainer? Do you have any plans? If you don't have a plans, why don't we talk through? Yeah. So I think that I'm sorry if I'm not answering your question.
No,
Yeah.
you actually
Mm,
are
mm,
answering my question because
yes.
that is something that I think that too often people get seduced by a name and by like, "Oh, well, I always wanted to go dance here or try it out, but not understanding what the realities of living there is. Like we had some
Yes.
friends who their kids danced with our children and like they went to Germany.
Mm,
No, they didn't speak German. And
yes.
it was really lonely and it was hard. And like when my daughter went to Denmark, my daughter's mixed race, my husband's Chinese, Abby said that people would stop on the street and stare at her. Like they've just never
Mm,
seen someone that looked like her before. And she was like,
mm,
I felt like a
mm,
fish in a fishbowl. And so you
mm.
don't always think about those things. Like, do I want to live
No,
like that all the time?
no, no. I think you're so right. So I always ask my student if they can go to like a short-term visit. Yes, so never decide straight away that you want to go there, even you really wanted to before. I think first you need to really visit the school and you can just have information as much as you can. And I also will be connected with so many directors in the world, so I can always ask them. I mean, my student has gone to John Crankle now, the Dutch National Ballet Academy, since so a couple of the school in the world. They're really enjoying themselves so far. Thank God. But when I was at the Royal Ballet School, I have seen the students. It's very rare that if they don't fit mentally, because of the language barrier, food, something, and yes. So it's always hard to find the right time for our student or the young dancers to go to the abroad or leave their own country.
When you
Yes.
went to Royal Ballet when you were 16, what was the hardest thing for you leaving Japan and moving to London?
Well, I must say I was so excited leave Japan because I was in a little village called Takasu, which is 7,000 people living. Then I went to the Asahikawa city to do ballet. That's some more is much bigger. Population is there. I mean, I never been to London, but I saw it on the TV and the books. I mean, of course, they have got a no phone that time, like a no iPhone that time. So the London looked great to me. And also the Mr. Kumakawa, who I knew from he's also born in the same city. And we know each other for a long time. And he was my hero. He was like a star. And then, oh my God, I can actually meet him or maybe I can watch his performance. There's so many great dancers of the Japanese dancers working the Royal Ballet. And oh my God, I really wanted to see them. However, I missed my friends. I had a great friends in Japan, but they always supported me. That I think when I had injury, I went to London after the year I got the big knee injury, which I had a surgery. I think only that time I really started to think, oh my God, I miss Japan. I think the first year I went to London, I was so busy because I was just doing a 1.5 class every day into
Mhm.
Royal Ballet School, which is like a top vocational schools, like 45 hours training. And then I really enjoyed myself, but my body wasn't ready. And then I got injury and I had a surgery. And yes, then I went back to Japan. I didn't have to go back to Japan, but I kind of had to. That I really missed Japan and I missed my language, my home, and my food, and my friends. And I think it's now these days it's much easier that you've got a phone to talk easily as you can travel quite easily now from Japan to London everywhere you go. But I think you need to be really ready to leave your home. And the same as your parents. I always ask the parents, are you ready to let go? And if you're not ready, I think it's a great question that I always make when you're 16 years, when you're student like 15, 16 years old. I think you need to kind of, you need to be ready to let go.
For ballet dancers, yes. Peter
Maybe
Stark
for the
said
ballet
something to
dancers,
us.
I know. That's really hard, no? Because ballet professional would start 18 years old, and if your parents are just doing that till 18 years old, maybe you might, hmm, you. I think that maybe the dancers, the student, maybe struggle to open up their life by themselves. Yeah, I'm sorry. Maybe I talking to something really different from your
No, I
question.
actually think that
Yeah.
this is something that's really important that I'm glad you're
Mm.
bringing this up because ballet is a really hard job, right? And you do it so young. And so you just need different skills. And like as parents, Brett and I used to talk about this a lot about like giving them a much longer leash to let them make those mistakes now because they need to make them early to figure out who they are because they go into the workforce and they're doing really adult things
Yeah,
much
yeah,
earlier.
yeah.
So I'm
Yeah,
actually
it's
glad you
yeah.
talked to your parents about it.
Yeah, but I mean, as I said before, that our parents are great. They always trust us and they listen to us. And I think we have got a great system that now the K-Ballet Academy has got always invite the parents twice or three times in our side studios and have a parents' day. Also, we have got this explanation days of the if they've got any question about the school system. I always do this explanation of how do you say day of the school starts. Then we've got this system of they can just make any question in our email system that I made, and I always answer the straight away. I am grateful that because at the beginning, it's only the beginning. I brought this a new program of the creations or expressive solos or something different. They asked me, why do you do this? And I had to answer, but they really trusted me. But now, like you said, a different phase, if they go to the broad, Mr. Kura, is this school right for my son or my daughter? And then I always struggle to make these answers. I don't know. I can really research what you do, how you communicate with others, peers, parents, friends, but it's always hard to find what is right. And in the end of the day, we cannot really choose the school anymore. The school choose you. Yeah, I'm still trying my best to find what's the best for their schools.
You make a good point that the school chooses you. Sometimes you don't have a choice, right? Like you get in somewhere and you have to make a decision very quickly. And that can be a tough
No.
one.
Yes, yes. I mean, my student, always talk about Royal Ballet School, John Cranko, Princess Grace, San Francisco Ballet. You can't just get the ticket to go to the school. You cannot buy it. You cannot buy it. It's not like that easy.
Yeah.
Really have to work really hard, and it's not just the students because we don't have actually. My student always stay at the house with the parents, so I always ask them to we have a nutrition talk with the parents, and how of course how what they eat, how they sleep, and the importance of the communication, and also talking about how to let go with your kids. And yeah, so far we have got a great balance that because we always talk. So I think the communication is the key for me to have that great conversation with the parents in any time.
It's nice to hear because as parents, we just kind of want to be let in and just kind of know what's going on. And it just as long as there's it's really three-way conversations. We always think of it like as a three-legged stool, right? There's the student, the teacher, and
Mm,
then the parents. And
mm.
you can really create something very lovely. I think that parents don't lots of times don't ask unreasonable questions. Lots of times they just want to be let in on know what their kid's trajectory looks like.
Yeah, that's maybe the something the different between Japan and outside. That our parents usually says, of course, they want to know what we do, and we explained. That's because they know that they cannot do what we do, so they just. I believe they're really trusting us. But like you say that, of course, I had the questions like you said when I was at Royal Ballet School, but I think they've got just a different perception and a different opinion.
As you're coming into this role, right? You've only been there for a couple of years now, and you've talked
Yes.
about how ballet training works and how you brought some of the things you learned at Royal Ballet to what you're doing now. How would you like to see things change in terms of how ballet develops in Japan over the next several years? Like, what are you trying to do that can then be taken out across the country to serve as an example?
Right. Oh, I mean, of course, in the 10 years time, or maybe in a several years time, it might take longer. But I fully expect Japan to be more than just a source of a talent. It will become a self-sustaining center of the culture that the world looks to. Specific, I think leaving Japan isn't the only the right way anymore. That we really want to create a great education here, the balance with Japanese life, schooling, and as soon as dancers training, trained entirely in Japan will stand at the top, showing the world the new standard of the excellence. So many dancers like me that are people who really hungry to study the ballet, and I think that so many schools in Japan have started to establish great system that people are coming back from the abroad. Dancers are from the UK, US, and there's so many dancers now really studying really hard to become a ballet teacher, ballet coaches. So I think in a 10 years time, I want to believe that the Japanese have got much more great idea of how to nurture our students. And also the dancers elevating the social status of the ballet as a profession. Dancers deserve to recognize not as the dreamers, but as the true specialist. My goal is for the K-Ballet to transform this art into profession where you can stand on your own feet. We are creating a society where the child can proudly announce that I'm going to be a professional ballet dancer. I think that's my really dream that people can really speak up. I really want to become a ballet dancer. And now, like you say, to get the job is very hard. And this is going to be my key that the people really want to do ballet, that everybody can become a ballet dancer. It's my dream. It probably will take more than the 10 years, but I try my best.
I like it.
So,
It's a lofty goal for sure.
yeah, thank you. I know it's not a realistic, but yes, I want the ballet to be a more than just a hobby. For a few, it should be the essential part of the life for everyone. By using new technology and connecting with the local communities, we will create a uniquely Japanese style of the ballet that leads the world. For me, the next 10 years about more than just growing our school. It's a decade to build the foundation so the next generation can fly with the pride. I can't wait to see our graduate leading the change.
I love that. I
Thank you.
just love the
Thank you.
aspiration. I think
Go
that's
ahead.
wonderful. So, as we're ending this wonderful conversation, and we've so enjoyed speaking with you, you have had so many incredible mentors throughout your years of training and performing and teaching. So I'm wondering if maybe we can end with you maybe imparting a little bit of the wisdom that you've learned to share maybe some advice that you have for young dancers who are serious about this career.
Always think maybe just a simple word. Allow yourself to make a mistake. I think that's my simple offer to our students and also to the parents and teacher. Allow your student to make a mistake. I think setback is a part of the journey. And if you're struggling, it's a sign of the growth is coming. And don't let the fear make you small. Stay hungry, stay curious, and ask, what can I learn from this moment? I always make a mistake, as you can really notice that today, but I always think, what can I learn from this moment? And then I think if you don't make a mistake, you don't make a great success. That's why I believe. So that's something I want to voice it today and believe in your own potential more than anyone else and constantly transform the passion into correct effort. I think effort is the key. I always believe the great people who has got the great grit. I think I can see so many people get the great top level. I always talk about fast discipline, and I think that you have good mental stamina as well that because the ballet takes so much time and even you practice 10 times, you can't really get better straight away. It's really hard things. So be, like I said, to be curious, but also to be humble. So I think maybe that's my answer from your question.
Kenta, thank you so much for joining us. We have so enjoyed
No, no,
speaking with you
thank you.
today.
No, thank you so much.
Thank you
No,
again.
but no, thank you.
If you're enjoying the Ballet Help Desk podcast, please take a moment and subscribe, rate, and drop us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. And while you're at it, don't forget to swipe that auto download button so you never miss an episode. Thanks so much for your support. Until next time, the Help Desk is now closed.